transformation of the lives of men in our workforce development model. Better Futures Minnesota engages men with histories of incarceration and homelessness. Our approach reaffirms each man's dignity, instilling self-discipline and behaviors that empower them to achieve self-sufficiency and a better future. We set hard-to-employ men on a pathway to independence through employment in our reuse retail warehouse and work crews, specializing in building deconstruction, property maintenance, appliance recycling, and janitorial services. We strive to create a sustainable future where social equity, economic opportunity, and environmental justice intersect. By addressing these interconnected challenges, Better Futures Minnesota works towards building resilient, healthy communities for all Minnesotans. We believe that true sustainability can only be achieved when all members of our community can thrive. Join us in making a difference. Visit us at betterfuturesminnesota.com and donate today.
For nearly 10 years, Make Voting a Tradition has empowered Native American communities by bringing friends and families together to talk about important issues. NVAT is increasing voter turnout and ensuring Native voices shape the future. This election season, skip the crowds and vote early in Minnesota. Elders and busy voters can vote in person before Election Day. Find your early voting location at sos.state.mn.us. Let's make voting a lasting tradition for generations to come.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 48, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 74. MIWRC's Real Roast Beef is known for their namesake sandwiches, but don't miss out on all their other great offerings, too. Don't forget the fresh onion rings or fries for a winning combination. MIWRC's is in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at MIWRCsbeef.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
I think Robert's muted. Oops.
Or chat online at strongheartshelpline.org.
Hey, Ruth, are you able to hear me? I don't think she can hear.
I can hear you now. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay.
Hey, well, hey, this is live, but can we start over? No, just kidding. Oh, hey, we're here with Ruth Buffalo and Sarah Carlson of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. And Ruth, you're on all the time. Do you mind introducing Sarah and take it away? I'd like to hear some information about what's going on Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center.
Sure. Dosha and Madzigadad, thank you for having us, Robert and Haley. I am so honored and proud to represent MIWRC here, but also honored to introduce an amazing staff member, Sarah Carlson, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, Bonjour. My name is Sarah Carlson. I am a Red Lake band member, and I've been with MIWRC for a year now as their ICWA kinship worker. I'm with the Family Services Department, and very proud and honored to do the work that we do at MIWRC. Just quickly, I have 3 kids. I live in Richfield, and I've been working in the Native community for about 8 years now. I worked at NAC, and I worked for Red Lake, and been doing work, did some work at the encampments a few years ago, and I'm just very proud to be here.
Wow, it's awesome. Ruth, Sarah, I don't know, I hear a little clicking going on in the background. Are there little chipmunks out there in Richfield? I hear.
There is a lot, but
Squirrels.
I think it was my nails tapping on my chair, so I'll stop that.
Oh, okay, no problem. Ruth, let's talk about we have a strong warrior here, Sarah, on, and the work that she does. It sounds really interesting. Why don't you ask Sarah some loaded questions? No, some good questions. Oh, what?
Sarah, okay, let's see. I'll ask you some tough questions. No, I'm just kidding. What is one of the most? No, I don't want to bring the emotions up too, because I know like the work they do is so critically important. So I would say what is one of the most things that what is an enjoyable thing, or what brings you to work? What keeps you coming back to MIWRC every day?
Well, again, I work in the ICWA. I am an ICWA kinship worker with Leah LaChapelle. And our primary role is to assist families that have taken their kin, and they're the caregivers for them now. Our referrals can come from counties, CPS, kids that are in foster care, and we have like grandmas taking care of their grandkids, and just to be able to provide them a safe place to heal and be able to provide resources. My program, we preserve families to stay together, and to be able to assist and help our Indian families stay together is very big. I started working as the ICWA kinship in ICWA, as I was the Red Lake advocate, I think in 2018, and that's when I learned a lot about ICWA. So again, my program preserves on families sticking together and working hard to find resources and keep those families together and bring some good things back into their life. Like recently, this past year, MIWRC and Family Children's Services did like a ribbon skirt making event for our families and their grandkids and their kids. We had a lot of women come back into MIWRC, and it brought back just so much positive energy and good spirits and good vibes, and just the love that we were bringing to these families. And a lot of my grandmas that are in my program, a lot of the aunties, they actually came and they made ribbon skirts for their granddaughters and their grandkids and ribbon shirts. So it's nice to be able to hold on to our culture and provide those specifically cultural events for them. I see a lot of love and laughter in our program. There's struggles, of course, things in the background. Some of the caregivers have actually lost their, daughter or son, and that's why they're taking care of their grandkids or their kin. And, you know, just being able to provide those resources and refer them out and help them and heal, that's one of the biggest things for me and what makes me happy. And I see it in others that work with the Family Services Program at MIWRC. at MIWRC. We have an ICWA liaison. Her name is Anicia, and me and Leah LaChapelle, we're the ICWA kinship workers, and we're partners. And she's been working in the community for many, many, many years, and she just brings a lot of joy and laughter and good spirits to our families, and I see it. And she's very dedicated to helping them. And I see my other coworkers. I work very closely with Leah. So we also have our family home visitor, family spirit family home visitor, who is Lacey. And I can't pronounce her newly married name, Papa Sadora. And we have our life skills parenting worker, Vaughn Hansen, and our director Mariah Smith. So we all work as a team and bringing these culturally specific events to our families, providing them with resources, reunification. We preserve for them to stay together. We have lunches and dinners that we have with them. We cook for them, and just sharing that space with them and seeing the good things that we bring into the other people's lives. And that's what I really like my job right now at MIWRC, and I'm happy to be there and with all my coworkers as well.
That's awesome. Ruth, could you explain? Some people might not know what ICWA is because we're all over the Turtle Island and we have many different listeners. Maybe you could just tell everyone what ICWA means and stands for.
Sure. The ICWA, the acronym stands for Indian Child Welfare Act. And gosh, I think, was that put into place? I know there's all these different clusters of acts that went into place around the same time, like the American Indian Religious Freedom Act was 1978, and was ICWA enacted at the same time, I think?
Yeah, right around the same time, shortly after.
Yep. So it's so interesting, the different federal things that happened at the federal level, but essentially the Indian Child Welfare Act in a nutshell is to keep families together, keep children with Native children with Native families.
Absolutely. Hey, we're here with our friends from Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Oh,
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
As we age, it's important to invest in our health and to help protect it. Like the flu, COVID-19 is always changing. That's why it's important to stay up to date on your vaccines. By getting the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, you can renew your body's defenses and lower the risk of getting sick. Get your health boost and protect yourself against the flu and COVID. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Again, that's vaccines.gov. Vaccines.gov.
Make voting a tradition empowers Native American communities through civic engagement. For nearly a decade, MVAT has increased voter turnout by encouraging friends, family, and neighbors to get involved. By building trust and community engagement, MVAT ensures Native voices help shape the future. This election season, voting is easier than ever. Minnesota voters can cast their ballots early so elders and busy voters can avoid the rush of Election Day. Find your nearest polling location at sos.state.mn.us and let's make voting a tradition for future generations.
The Minneapolis Institute of Art is featuring the art and legacy of Jody Falwell, a groundbreaking potter from Cabo Owinga, New Mexico. Over the past 50 years, Falwell has revolutionized Pueblo pottery and native art by weaving in personal, political, and social stories into her pieces. Her exhibition titled Opawa Omung shows the incredible range of her work and the impact she's had on both native and contemporary American art. You can check it out at MIA through January. For more info, visit artsmia.org.
Annie, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we are here with our friend Ruth Buffalo and Sarah Carlson of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. We're talking about all the really cool things that Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center does. And I'm wondering, Sarah, if you or Ruth could talk about who's eligible for all this fun stuff and activities that you do.
Sorry, I just seen that question too. There isn't any eligibility. I mean, if somebody says that they want to be a part of our program, we take them in and we do an intake. And again, like I said, we supply the resources and just help as much as we can, but there's no eligibility. Like some, yeah, there is just for my program, the ICWA kinship program, there isn't any eligibility.
Cool. Yeah. Ruth, anyone can join, and that's what's a great thing about, you know, what your work is and what you stand for is there is no checking your res ID card or anything like that. If you need help, right?
Right. Yes, for sure. Because we're the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and we are serving, American Indian women and their families.
Awesome. So what else would you like our listeners to know, Ruth?
Gosh.
And then grill Sarah and oh wow.
No, I'm just super, super proud to be a part of an amazing team that does such important heart work every single day. Our staff have such big hearts. They're just beautiful people, and I'm super proud to be a part of their team. And so I know the weather is changing, and so we are going to be hosting a winter coat drive during our fall market, which is scheduled for November 1st. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and say, a question for Sarah. How's it going? Are there many vendor requests for the fall market of November 1st?
We do still have a lot of openings for vendors to come and show off your artwork and sell your work and stuff at our fall market on November 1st. Leah LaChapelle and Marion Wright, who works in our drop-in center, will be making the fry bread. We're going to have a fry bread taco sale that day as well. And some chicken wild rice egg rolls. I think we're going to do pork as well. And I think the rice is coming from Leech Lake for those egg rolls. I'm not sure. I'll have to check with Leah. But it's not Red Lake wild rice. Let's see. We have that. And we would like to, we'll be taking donations for hats, jackets, gloves, snow boots for MIWRC, as we have other programs and client relatives that may be in need. So looking forward to another community event at MIWRC. It feels like it brings a lot of love, laughter, and good spirits, the cooking and the smiles and the fellowship and seeing our relatives and the community together. So Friday, November 1st.
I'm excited to get one of those sacred egg rolls. That sounds totally delicious. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about those egg rolls. Are those made by Leah?
Yes.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I told her we have to double our order this time. We sold out in like less than 2 hours the last time. We rolled 200 of them.
Dang.
Wow. They must be some good egg rolls.
That's awesome. Oh, we just lost Ruth. So now it's up to us to grill you.
No.
It's just she must have accidentally exited out. Uh, and you've been working for a couple of years here, and what is some of the great stories you have with reuniting families and the things that you really do there and really support families? Do you have any fun stories or any really heartbreaking stories? I know there's a lot of good and there's a lot of fun and there's also a lot of sadness in our community.
Yeah. I mean, my like personal like this working in the community for me has been a very personal it's a personal journey for me. Like I was once knocked down um with like my depression and anxiety and going through things with my kids, and I utilize that same community to help with my own personal issues. And I utilized NAC, I utilized MIWRC in the past, and I utilized other programs and support groups. And like I kept moving on in my career. I started out as a patient advocate at NAC at the Native American Community Clinic, and just being able to be someone that's there and that's helpful and that really genuinely cares, and the joy that we bring to these families, means a lot to me. Like I said, a lot of them can be in the trenches with personal things that are going on in their lives, but we help them overcome that. There is a way. There is a way. Like, and there is so many resources out there, and there's so many people that support and offer that help. Like, it's there. And I just am proud to be in this community working and helping and doing my part. It took a whole village for me to get back on track. And like I said, I utilize NAC, and culturally specific programs was big for me. You know, my therapist, I went through 3 therapists. The first one didn't understand me. Second one was trying to give me like anxiety meds and depression meds. The third one, I walked into the Native American Community Clinic, told me her name, she told me where she was from, and she said, "Would you like to smudge?" So just our ways and our values and our traditions go a long way. And I only hope to bring that kind of healing and services back into MIWRC and help our families and be a good support and a good relative.
Well, Ruth, that's an amazing story about Sarah, and I think it really is proof in the pudding and a great example of what can happen when when uh, when people meet you guys halfway, and a lot of healing and a lot of things. That's an amazing story, Sarah.
Yes, we're blessed. We're blessed to have Sarah on board. She's an amazing, beautiful mom and leader in our community. So yes, we're super blessed to have her on board, and just super proud. And there's the director of family services, Mariah Smith. We have to get her on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave you 3 hearts there of people that are watching this on Facebook and YouTube. That's 3 more. That's 3 more than I usually get. So that's pretty awesome. Well, it's just amazing too. And Sarah, again, thank you so much, Peeny Gigi, for sharing your story, because I think it's easier for people coming to help coming for help when they hear a story, a success story like yours, and that you can relate and that you've been where they're at, and that goes a long, long way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
Oh, go ahead. We have so much exciting things on deck, and yes, it's amazing to come into the building every day and see the staff. And um, Sarah was cooking there for a while in the morning too. Ate breakfast sandwiches. So like our staff are just so amazing. I mean, it's really awesome to be a part of the team here. And I was teasing them the other day. I'm like, you're all Care Bears, you know, because they do such important work. I mean, a lot of it is prevention of further tragedies. And, you know, unfortunately, as Native women, American Indian women, we have the highest rates of you know, violence, you know, surviving violence, fleeing violence. And, you know, we're 10 times more likely to be killed, to be murdered, you know, and keeping our doors open is so very important. And right now we're trying to, you know, cross the finish line with the closing of the housing renovations in the top 2 floors, but we recently hit a hiccup today. And so if people could call their respective city council members and encourage them to encourage their city housing staff to better understand the importance of and why MIWRC needs to stay open and continue serving the community. You know, without MIWRC here, it's going to be a huge gap left of indirect services, of care, of love for Natives, by Natives, and from Natives. So we critically need everybody's support. Again, so if you could contact your respective city council members and encourage them to encourage their city housing workers to better understand the importance of why MIWRC needs to be invested in for future generations, which will also prevent further tragedies, including the unhoused and opioid crisis that we're facing right now. Madzigidads, thank you.
Well, Big Peeny Gigi, we'll be talking more about that next week when you come on. That sounds like a good thing to really dig into. Hey, thank you so much, Ruth. I just want to ask you real quick. You only got a few seconds. Is everything good back in the homeland there? I saw fires happening.
Yes, it was very scary. Where we live is located only 4 miles from the huge wildfires. You know, they had 75 to 80 mile per hour winds. And the fire was so unpredictable that the local fire crews had to pull back and for their own safety and prepare, you know, people to evacuate. So my mom and one of my sisters and all the fur babies evacuated to a town 85 miles south of Mandaree, and they made it through the breaks or the Badlands just in the nick of time, because then the roads north of Killdeer were shut down and closed. But thankfully in our area there was no fatalities, but a lot of close calls for sure.
Well, thank you, Ruth, and thank you, Sarah, for coming on, and thank you for that update. And we'll see you next Tuesday. This is a Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we support Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Every day, our people suffer at the hand of domestic and sexual violence. But you are sacred and deserve to be safe in your own home. Strong Hearts Native Helpline is here to help. Native-centered, empowerment-based, trauma-informed advocates offer safety, sovereignty, and support. Call or text 844-7NATIVE. To chat online, visit www.strongheartshelpline.org. Reach out today.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Fossil fuel camps, like pipeline and oil drilling villages, are increasing violence against our Indigenous sisters. Temporary workers from these camps have led to a surge in sexual assaults. In North Dakota, assaults on women rose by 75% after man camps arrived during the 2000s oil boom. We must hold big oil companies accountable for this violence and demand action. By electing leaders that prioritize the health and safety of our Indigenous communities, we can fight back. Our vote is our voice. It's time to use it to protect our people, stand up for climate justice, and ensure a safe future for our next generations. Make voting a tradition, or MVAT, is about strengthening our Native communities. MVAT is here to boost our voter turnout and spark important conversations about the issues that matter most to us. Find your early voting location at sos.state.mn.us. Let's make voting a tradition so we can fight for the safety of our communities.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from RIMARC. The RIMARC team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rimarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 48, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 74. MIWRC's Real Roast Beef is known for their namesake sandwiches, but don't miss out on all their other great offerings, too. Don't forget the fresh onion rings or fries for a winning combination. MIWRC's is in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at MIWRCsbeef.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Hey, we have State Representative Heather Keeler on, and it's always great to see Heather, and I see she has her Heather shirt on. I should have worn mine. Great to see you, Heather, and lot going on, and I know you're out in the community helping out, and thank you so much for coming on.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm glad it worked out. Me and Haley have this like text down that it's like, you got to get to your car. You got to get on the radio, because you're right. We're out door knocking. We actually have been out in Moorhead all day talking to our college students. Now we're out talking to the community, because with less than a month away, it's just critical that we're having these conversations. And, you know, the thing that's coming up is infrastructure, education, access to healthcare, making sure that people can stay in their homes, like livability, right? It's like all the basic things that working families in Minnesota really expect out of their communities. And it's been really interesting, fun, engaging conversations. And people still just don't know where to register, where to go, what to do. So encouraging you all, if you know those things, talk about that in your networks. Talk about that with your friends. Don't just assume everybody has a plan. It's going to take all of us to engage. And so taking a quick break, because it's always good to catch up with family while we're out doing the work.
Right on, and I appreciate that, Heather. And, you know, Wendy and I are, Wendy just got back from New York, so we're going to get out and vote. And so we're able to help people and form a plan, because it's so important. And, you know, one of the things that you said a couple of shows ago, which kind of struck me and I've been repeating, is that, you know, it's a different election, but, you know, you know, the 2016, you know, she was way ahead too at one point. And so this Trump got snuck up on us. And so we want to make sure that we're not sitting on our laurels and that we get out there and vote, and that's not a done deal.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think also the perk of me being in my car is you hear all the messages that come in to my, sorry, that's me. That's how busy I am in my life. Can't talk to me on my phone without the messages, but you're right. I think everybody's under this assumption that it's just in the bag, and it's never an assumption, all the way up until the time that the polls close on election day. And so, one of the things that I tell people is giving family members and community members rides to the polls is one of the things that we miss a lot. People want to go, people want to engage, but maybe they just don't have a way to get there. So I have voted early for a couple of reasons. One, my son was old enough for the first time to vote, so we went in and did that together while he's off at college. But I voted early so that I'm available to help people on the day of election. And I would encourage anybody who has the capability to do that, Vote early, get your ballot in, it's counted, it's there. Now go out and help your community, because everybody's been saying it. We are only going to win if we invest in this effort together, making sure we reach out, have conversations, give the rides, do the reminders, don't assume that we're safe, because that's a really scary assumption to make.
Absolutely. And, as you were talking, I'm thinking, geez, I'm going to blast it out a couple days on Facebook and the other social medias and ask if people need a ride to the polls. And that might even be a thing to do even a couple weeks before the election too.
Yeah, because people have early voting sites. I know out at our tribal nations, we actually passed a law this last year that said every tribal nation is allowed one pop-up site early. Every county has to provide that for them. So I know like Red Lake did theirs on the 2nd. They got almost 100 voters that day. And so, even if you can travel out to other areas, not always just in your own district, but are there other areas in the state that maybe need help? Some of our districts have a very large geographic spread. And so making sure that we get across those districts, I think is really key and really important. And I promise you will feel better once you've helped somebody else's voice be heard. I promise you that.
Heather, we talked to a lot to our Wisconsin relatives on Native Roots Radio, and how important it is. Everyone's vote counts. In each one of those counties, 3 votes is 20,000 votes in each one of those voting districts. And that's how important and how everyone's vote does matter.
Right. And I break it down, to some of the local races is, everybody gets really caught up in the upper ticket. And of course, like our presidential race is important. But, as your state representative, I really think what we do at a state level is extremely important. We've put a lot of money into our school systems, our infrastructure, our healthcare, all these different areas. But then even to get more local, your tribal government, your county, your city, your school board, and some of those races are really only decided by 2 or 3 people, and they make a dramatic difference in how things function in your community. And so the ballots are long, they're front and back. And so making sure that people go in and really educate themselves too on who's up and down the ticket. Our state level individuals, we get nervous sometimes. Are you going to go far enough down the ballot to get your local officials elected as well? And so I think some of that just comes with educating yourself on who's on your ballot. There's a lot of places you can go to learn, because it's one thing to just be a voter. I think it's another thing to be an educated, engaged voter. So we know who's on the ballot, what they stand for, because just because they're a Democrat, doesn't mean that they completely align with all of our values. And so having those honest conversations is really important and is really powerful, so that we, as the people, put people in charge of decisions that we like.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always great to have you on here, because we do want to talk all the way through the ballot, because it is important. It's so important, and your work's important. The work that you've done in the last couple cycles, because of how you being voted in, but also having the trifecta and be able to move maybe more people more progressively by giving them information and Democrat, like you said, a Democrat is a word, but it's also, we're progressive too here on Native Roots Radio. Oh wow.
And we lean into that. It's been really, our governor is on the ticket as the VP because of the work that you all voted Minnesota legislators to go do. And that's what I try to say. Like, that's the power of politics in Minnesota. Is if you look at the last 3 election cycles, we have brought in, one, not only progressive, but a wide variety of individuals that have come in. Like if you look at the Democratic side in the Minnesota House of Representatives, it reflects what Minnesota looks like. And I think that is key, and that's important. And that's why we've been able to push some progressive things through our party. You know, like one thing I want to talk about, because like, of course I want to talk about it, is one of the things we were able to do in the legislature that I take a lot of pride in, because it was like my thing, is making Indigenous Peoples Day a state recognized holiday. And I'd like to share that story because that is the power of politics. I was an Indian education liaison in 2018, and my kids had been asking us, we want to do something cool for Indigenous Peoples Day instead of that other holiday. So as a liaison, it was my job. I went and I talked to the superintendent, who is still currently our superintendent here, and he flat out told me we would never do that unless it was a city or state recognized holiday. And to any of our listeners or viewers, to keep in mind, politics was never anything I ever wanted to be a part of. I deeply understand that this system is the system that was created to try to eliminate us, and still, I think, tries to eliminate us as Indigenous people. But once he said that to me, it kind of sparked this like, oh, bet, now I know what I need to do, right? And so in 2019, my son DJ joined me. We advocated and made it a city recognized holiday. And then when I came in as an elected official, this was on my list of things to do. And we pushed and pushed and pushed and passed it as a state recognized holiday, including that if school districts in Minnesota choose to be in school on Monday, they are required to do a minimum of 1 hour of Indigenous education. It can be about language, culture, the beauty of who we are. It doesn't have to be like our history and all the trauma, right? Like it can be really beautiful things. And so if you are a Minnesota resident and you're sending your schools to or your kids to a Minnesota school on Monday, be sure to ask them, what are they doing for their hour of recognition for Indigenous Peoples Day? Because it is a state law. It is state required that your schools do this. But I think that's the power of an Indian education liaison, listening to my students and what they wanted, and hearing what the white leaders were telling me back, and turning those no's into yeses now is created a state holiday that we get to be a part of. And with that, we've eliminated Columbus Day. So we didn't just add another holiday. We wiped out one and are now honoring and celebrating what we all believe is the most beautiful culture.
Absolutely. Heather, we only got a minute left, and I know you're really busy. I want you to amplify what you said. The reason why Governor Walz is on the vice president ticket is about the work of the legislature. I want you to amplify that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's real. Everything that he's talking about on the big stage, we did that. Like, if you go through your civic and understand how bills become a law, your state legislators are the ones that write the bill, go through the committee, do the testifying. We do all that work. We send it to the governor's desk. He signs it. So, like, as you hear him talking about the work he's done, keep in mind, those are your elected officials. Those are your state representatives and your senators that you all sent to do the work. And so Minnesota is on the big stage right now. You saw in the debates, we talk a lot about the work we've done here. And we take a lot of pride in that. But send us back. Don't take us for granted. Don't take the votes for granted. Engage your community members. Engage your relatives that live in outstate Minnesota. We have a lot of areas that we need to turn purple. And we only do that when we work together. And so being on here is just one of the ways that you spread the word. And Unc, I'm always proud of you for having these conversations. A lot of media spaces don't allow us this opportunity. So whoopee-da for that.
Big Peeny Gigi, thank you so much, Representative Heather Keeler. I did not say state senator or governor in this interview, and I just want that to be noted. Great to see you.
I appreciate that. Good to see you guys.
Hey,
take care.
All right. Peeny Gigi. Hey, Native Roots Radio will be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Oh, wow.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
As we age, it's important to invest in our health and to help protect it. Like the flu, COVID-19 is always changing. That's why it's important to stay up to date on your vaccines. By getting the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, you can renew your body's defenses and lower the risk of getting sick. Get your health boost and protect yourself against the flu and COVID. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Again, that's vaccines.gov. Vaccines.gov.
I checked the parking lot before I left work. I looked in my back seat before I got in my car. On my way home, I watched in my rearview mirror to make sure I wasn't being followed. I did all the things I was supposed to do to keep myself from being sexually assaulted.
But she forgot. I was her partner. I was her partner. I was her partner.
You have the right to say no to your partner. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Every day, our people suffer at the hand of domestic and sexual violence. But you are sacred and deserve to be safe in your own home. Strong Hearts Native Helpline is here to help. Native-centered, empowerment-based, trauma-informed advocates offer safety, sovereignty, and support. Call or text 844-7NATIVE. To chat online, visit www.strongheartshelpline.org. Reach out today.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Well, what a great show, Haley, and I hope we don't blow it because this is one for the best ofs. It was really awesome.
Yeah,
Hey,
really was.
but we have a lot to talk about here in the last segment here, and there's so much going on, and we want to let all our relatives know all over Turtle Island what's happening. And Haley, I'm going to hand it over to you, and there is so much out there. Could you do me a favor and just turn your mic up just a little bit?
Yes. How do I sound? A little bit better.
You sound wonderful.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
thank you. Yeah, just touching on what Heather and we were talking about in the last segment, voting and early voting. That's something that I was able to do this year. I voted already, got my voter sticker, but yeah, I requested my absentee. It came in the mail within like days of getting approved. The directions were really simple and how to fill it out and then mail it back. And yeah, I actually used my ballot mn.sos.state.mn.us. And if you go to that website, I think it's on the state's website too, or the government, but they have all the candidates by county. So if you don't know like who you're voting for, like city or county wise, it has all that information right there. So if you vote early, you have your ballot with you at home. You can use resources like that to help make your decision, which I thought was really helpful.
Yeah, that is, and that's a real event, and I appreciate that story, and it's exciting too, and maybe we need here to strategize a little more after talking to Heather about our helping our relatives and people that do need a ride to the polls, and that's something I'm very willing to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I haven't really heard too many like groups or individuals doing that in the past. And I think that could help out a lot. We have Minneapolis Air tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to welcome back guest host Christine McDonald with some of her friends from the city of Minneapolis. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things coming up. We've got Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday, October 14th.
One of the things too you have in our notes, which people that listen to the show, I only am the one that's unorganized. Haley's very organized, and Haley, we're talking about that free event over at Owamni, the Falling Water Festival, and I know
Yeah.
you and I have been to that over the years.
Yeah, that's a good one. So coming up this weekend before we get to Monday, we've got this free family event in Minneapolis. It's the Owamni Falling Water Festival. And this will be Saturday, October 12th. It's at the Waterworks and Mill Ruins Park in Minneapolis from 1 to 5 p.m. Again, it's a free family event. Please come celebrate Indigenous culture with music, art, and food. There's going to be exhibitors and more. This year's Owamni Falling Water Festival is sponsored by the St. Anthony Falls Heritage Board, the Minnesota Historical Society, our good friends over there, and also our friends at the Minneapolis Parks and Recs Board.
Wow, that's exciting. And I want to amplify too that what Brooke's doing over there in St. Paul during what she calls Indigenous Peoples Weekend.
Yeah, that's a whole weekend thing. So if you're in the Twin Cities, or more specifically the St. Paul area, come check out Indigenous Peoples Basketball Weekend Expo at Johnson High School. Again, in St. Paul, this is 2 days, so it'll be Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th. There's going to be basketball tournaments, people coming in from all over Turtle Island. Brooke's going to have some musical artists as well, and all of this is Indigenous and Native arts and music. So come check out some Res Ball and support people doing really good work in our community and continuing that healthy lifestyle.
And there's so much going on. I'm going to have to really go in my fast car and go back and forth from Minneapolis to St. Paul on Indigenous Peoples Day. I know there's things happening, and there used to be a parade at 2 at 4 that went to. It started at the American Indian Magnet School and went. We'll have to find out if the parade's still going on, because I know there's a feast and being a 4-hour event. I remember all the Native kids and allies would march from Ames down to Mounds Park, and then we'd have a feast, and everything would be cool. But also, there's things happening in Minneapolis too, right around the same time.
Yeah, so Indigenous Peoples Day is Monday, October 14th, this coming up Monday, starting us bright and early before the sun even comes up. This is one of my favorite events to attend every year. It's the Indigenous Peoples Day sunrise ceremony at Thomas Beach, Bidet, McCoska in Minneapolis. And I know that people start to gather around 7 a.m. at Thomas Beach. A couple people before that, I think like Rachel Cupcho Banks does the water, cold water plunging.
Yeah, I think you're going to do that this year, aren't you?
I was hoping to. Yeah, I messaged her. She was looking for recruiters to join her in the water.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so I'm going to try to do that this year before the sunrise ceremony, but people start to gather around 7 a.m. And then I think the ceremony itself starts around 7:15 and it goes until, I think it's 30 or 45 minutes total.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's a good way to start the day, and also get centered on what the day is really about. Because we joke, Haley, that every day is Indigenous Peoples Day for us, and Nina said let's have an Indigenous People Year. We appreciate that, and we agree. But it is good, and I know it's dark out, but there's a lot of people there celebrating us that are our allies too, that come early in the morning too, which politicians and people that are really respectful and low key and just want to be there and support. They're not there, handing out brochures and running for office. And I think that's really a cool dynamic to be able to merge the two and be one big community.
Yeah, yeah. And it feels more of like a family kind of vibe at the sunrise ceremony.
Yeah.
You're waking up with each other, you're having coffee, you're having breakfast with each other. And yeah, it's really good medicine to start out kind of our holiday like that in the morning with the sun and in Mother Nature with Creator, with Mauna. And yeah, it's one of my favorite things. But there's activities going on all day Monday, St. Paul. There's going to be Indigenous Peoples Day activities held at the American Indian Magnet School.
Right.
When is this? From 10 to 2 p.m. in St. Paul. Or you can join American Indian OIC and NACD and the crew at Indian Health Board in Minneapolis at American Indian OIC's parking lot. I believe that address is, I had it, but not anymore.
Well,
But yeah.
but that's very cool. And also at night, I do believe there's going to be a powwow at the brand new redone Minnesota Indian Center there on Franklin Avenue, which is just a beautiful building now.
Yeah. Yeah. The new Indian Center. I think we got just about a minute left, but I think that's the only powwow that I've heard going on that day, at least around us in the Twin Cities. I'll keep an eye out for other powwows for people who can't make it to Minneapolis. But yes, that powwow will be on Monday, the 14th at the American Indian Center in Minneapolis, starting at 5 p.m.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I want to thank Ruth Buffalo and her guest, Sarah, and also State Representative Heather Keeler and Haley Cherry for all the great work and what makes this a great show. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
And free Leonard Peltier now.
In my way, in my bed.